So I've just come down to film the intro for this week's vlog clip, and look what I found munching on my poor little wombok. These little fellas down here, they've really had a bit of a field day with them. This little fella, they're actually pretty brutal. They got nice big spikes on the back of their legs, and if they kick about, which I would too I suppose if someone's grabbed me, they can actually rip your skin a little bit. By the way, none of the fish are big enough for this guy, and we don't have chickens yet, so I'll dispatch him and leave him out for the kookaburras and ants. But yeah, the womboks, even though these guys here have been caned, we've got some nice growth on a few of them. To me, it's not a huge stress. It just means that these guys are going to mature a little bit later, so it'll stretch out our harvest. And give you a look at some of those bok choy. They will be ready next week sometime, and some of these guys over here, I'd say probably the week after, mainly because it's a little bit shaded over there. So yeah, we've had a bit of a rainy week. May just came down before and let me know we've had 63 millimeters over the past couple of days. So that's about 1.5 inches-ish. So make sure I'm not wasting any of the water that we're getting, because the sump tank has overflowed already. I've taken the bells off of the top of the bell siphons. We've got one there and one there. So these beds are just acting as a constant flow at the moment. And these guys over here are still set up as bell siphons. One of the things I have had to keep an eye on is the pH, mainly because rainwater has a fairly low pH. So it always sends this down, and I've found I'm having to dose the system just with a small amount of calcium hydroxide to keep it above 6.5. So I'm trying to keep it around about 6.7, 6.8 as much as I can. Anyway, on to this week's vlog. This week's vlog, we're looking at a couple of harvests from out the front patch and a rather nice one from out the back here. I've included just a quick look at one of the recipes we like to make up here as well. A real quick and easy meal. So I hope you enjoy them. And I better get to cleaning this radial flow filter, and I'll catch you at the end of the clip, folks. How's it going, folks? Just out here harvesting the rosellas, the first large harvest of rosellas. I did a small one, about a dozen or so, a few weeks back. I thought it was time to do some more. These guys here will end up going into the freezer. I'll process them by pushing the little seed pod out. I better stop nattering and get a wriggle on, because it's getting a little bit late here and the sun's just starting to set. It's just after 6. Just thought I'd bring in for a closer look. Some of these plants in the middle here look like they're only starting to fruit about 40 centimeters down. So I have a feeling that because they're not getting as much sunlight, they're not setting as much fruit as these guys along the front here. Just to show you what I mean, some of these branches along the front here, if I can get in behind these leaves, have fruit going all the way down to the main stem. So there's a lot more flowers happening along the front here. But as you can see through the center, as they've thinned out a bit and they've got a little bit more light, these other ones are starting to set some fruit. So anyway, I better stop nattering and hook into this, or the sun will totally disappear on me. So with these fruit here, I'm using the snips to harvest them. The reason being is, if you are gentle and don't damage the plant too much, you'll find that, or at least with this variety of rosella, there's little flower buds coming up just underneath these calyces. And if you don't damage them, you get more of a harvest. I have seen some people just hoe into them and cut off branches and then harvest the fruit. Oh, I've just butchered this piece of fruit, hoping for another flush of branches to come through, but this way guarantees you a nice second flush. So I think what I'll do is I'll come back tomorrow and harvest some of the other ones around the other side here, because it's getting a bit dark now to harvest some of this corn. So I won't be taking all this corn off. Actually don't need my snips either. So with this corn, I'm just taking the larger cobs, and I can tell you they are nice and full. I don't know if you remember seeing some of the harvest from the bed next to this. I had some little 1/4 cobs. This corn has grown really well for us. We took some of the corn off the other day and used that in a salad bowl. Very, very sweet indeed. So looking forward to some of this stuff in the next salad bowl. Doesn't look like the second crop of corn coming from here will be as big as these cobs though. I think most of the male pollen had already been shed by the time they started to set. Might actually leave those last 3 on there, because some of these will end up in the freezer, and those guys will eat fresh. But not a bad little harvest of corn at all. Now off down the back for another one. So I think with these limes, I'm not going to get all of them picked today either. So what we might do is, we might come out tomorrow afternoon and I'll pick a few more of these. And then, yeah, I'll just post photos online, probably on our YouTube community wall, community tab. I see you in there, nice and yellow. There's a couple, where did I see him? There was one here that's got a little bit of a sun. Oh, well, look at that, massive big stink bug. Bugger off, matey. This one here's got a big yellow patch on him, so I might pull him off. Bloomin' stink bugs. When you walk by the lime tree, you can actually hear it rustle with the amount of grasshoppers on it. It can be a little bit disconcerting, seeing we're in snake season. So with these limes, I'm just gently twisting them. If they're ready to come off, they just fall off by themselves. So I dare say we're going to end up with at least a bucket of limes from this lot. I think that will pretty much do it for today. Whoops, dropped a few. That'll do for today, because I can only process so many at a time. And we'll juice these guys up and pop them in the freezer. We'll come back and do the other side and around the back at another time. And like I said, I'll pop a couple of photos on our YouTube community page. So hope you enjoyed that little bit of a look at the harvest, folks. No, I haven't gone yet, folks. I thought I'd give you a bit of a look at the Rosellas. So this is the small little harvest from today. We'll go out, like I said, tomorrow and pick some more. These guys, though, tonight will be de-seeded, just popping the pen through there and pushing the seeds out, and then throw them in the freezer, waiting for the next batch. And then, yeah, they'll just all be processed together and turned into a jam or a syrup or something like that, cordial. But yeah, the limes. Very impressed with the amount of limes we've got yet again. I'm a little bit concerned we haven't seen any more flowers appear, only a couple, so we may not get a continual harvest, but that's fine, because towards the end of summer I'm going to give the tree a really big cutback. Bianca and I have changed plans yet again with the gardens, actually thinking about expanding the aquaponics, so we'll see about that when the time comes. But there's a bit of a look at the corn. These guys probably could have come off a day or so ago, starting to dry out a little bit, but that's all right. Most of these guys will just go into the freezer and we'll pull them out as we need them. And like I said, I left a couple on there fresh that we can take off and put in salad. So yeah, all in all, not a bad little harvest. I better get picking some greens now for today's salad. Welcome to my mobile wheelie bin bench, folks. I just thought I'd give you a bit of a look at the quinoa salad, or an explanation on how we made it. Tonight's one will be made fairly much the same. We're going to use another cob of corn from out the front and just some greens from the Aquaponics and a few pouches around the place. We've got some of the Brazilian spinach. I'm actually going to grab more from the plant that I cut back today. We've got some Egyptian spinach. We've got some Okinawan spinach. We've got some mushroom herb. We've got some fairly sad looking Owen nock that really does need a feed. What else have we got? Oh, some of the climbing spinach, the Malabar spinach. The girls don't like it, but I don't mind it that much, as long as it's chopped up fine. And what else? The Chinese red amaranth, some of that. Some of it comes ventilated, but that's all right. And I've grabbed a couple of chilies for Bianca and myself. I'll have the big one. I don't mind it spicy. And if B wants one, she can have the small one. Otherwise, I'll just use it on lunch tomorrow. So these little bowls are called Buddha bowls, apparently. Bianca bought some from a vegetarian restaurant in town ages ago. They're basically some sort of grainy base, so like a quinoa, rice, couscous, something along those lines to make a base, and then you add in vegetables as you desire. It's a great hit with visitors, actually. So the other night we sliced up the greens nice and fine. We had some sliced snow peas. We also did some purple onion and the corn that we harvested out the front. The other cob will be going in this one tonight. And I like to top mine off with some tahini style sauce. And yeah, it's a very tasty meal. Oh, we also throw in pepitas and sunflower seeds too. It's a very easy, you know, casual meal. Great to set up when you've got a load of people coming around. Cook a big bowl of the grain, slice up and dice up a lot of veggies, and just let people throw in whatever they want. That's what's on the menu for tonight's dinner. I'm going to actually leg it inside, because I don't know if you can tell, it's getting rather dark here at the moment, and I think we're in for another thunderstorm. I only just got the glass replaced in that window today, so I better go make sure everything is locked up tight before it hits. So I've finished cleaning the radial flow filter, tossed a bit of food in for the silver perch. They seem to be knocking that off quick smart. So if I go out much further, it gets a bit blurry, sorry folks. A bit hard for you to see. So they appear to be happy. Haven't had any complaints. They're all looking good. Dropped the camera down again the start of last week. They're all looking fairly happy. So we'll leave those ladies and gents be. I've finished cleaning out the radial flow filter, and the water that's coming through is, as always, fairly clean. You do get a few little spots come through after you clean, but I have a feeling that's to do with just bits and pieces that are being dislodged from the external vertical drain, and also the solids lifting outlet on the inside. pH is sitting at 6.6, so I'm happy with that. I've taken all the standpipes and bells out of all the beds bar one. This one here I've left it in. I've left the standpipe in, I should say. So this bed is still full and holding water. And as you can see, I don't think we really do need to do a top up. I could pretty much let this water go through into the sump tank and we'll be right. I might do that now actually. So the clip I'm working on at the moment is one on sump tanks. I've been doing a fair bit of artwork for it just to make it easier for folks to understand. I get asked quite often, is a sump tank needed in an aquaponic system? So I thought I'd just add in my 2 cents worth. Not only that, give you an idea on how to size your sump tank when you're growing with different beds in a flood and drain system. It's not always a hassle when you have a constant flow system. But anyway, I will pretty much leave it there. I do hope that you have enjoyed the clip. If this is the first time you've seen one of our clips, I'll leave a couple of thumbnails just up at the end there for you to suss out, just to have a look at, see what else we do around the patch here and with the aquaponics. I do hope you're all well and happy and you've had a fantastic week, and I will catch you next time. Cheers all. So Lizzie, a little bit hot under there. Is it time to play ball? Should we go out and play ball? I think we should.